So why does evil exist? I mean, it's one of the oldest, heaviest questions in all of philosophy. And today, we're not going to look at the usual answers. Nope. We are diving into a really radical, kind of mind-bending solution from a group of ancient mystics who asked a truly terrifying question. What if the creator of our world was actually the problem?
Right, so to really get the Gnostic solution, we first have to appreciate the puzzle they were trying to solve. And believe me, this is a problem that has kept philosophers and theologians up at night for thousands of years.
And there it is, the core contradiction. You know, if a creator is all good, they'd want to stop evil. And if they're all powerful, they'd be able to. And yet, just look around. Our world is absolutely filled with suffering, with disease, with cruelty. So how can all three of those things, all good, all powerful, and an evil world, possibly be true at the same time?
Now, of course, people have been trying to crack this for ages. The ancient Platonists, for instance, they came up with an answer that became super influential. But for some folks, especially the Gnostics who came a bit later, it just didn't feel right. It didn't add up.
So the Platonists had this elegant idea. They said, look, evil isn't a thing. It's not a force. It's just an absence of good. Kind of like how darkness isn't really a substance. It's just what happens when there's no light. They argued that our physical world is just so far away from that perfect divine source that the goodness gets, well, watered down. The blame, they thought, was on passive, dead matter itself for resisting the Creator's perfect plan.
But then you have the Gnostics, and they looked at the world and they just couldn't buy that answer. The evil they saw didn't feel passive at all. It didn't feel like a simple absence of something. No, it felt active. It felt intentional. And that feeling led them to a totally shocking and revolutionary new idea.
For the Gnostics, the violence of a lion tearing apart its prey, the agony of a terrible disease, that wasn't just a lack of good. That was a powerful creative force all on its own. It didn't seem like a flaw in the system. It seemed like it was the system. And that forced them to ask a really dangerous question. What if the problem isn't the stuff the world is made of? What if the problem is the one who made it?
So the Gnostics basically became theological detectives. They decided, okay, let's investigate the character of this creator. And what was their main source of evidence? Well, it was the creator's own words, pulled directly from the pages of the Old Testament.
And boom, Exhibit A. For the Gnostics, this verse from Isaiah wasn't some kind of metaphor, it was a confession, plain and simple. The Creator God isn't just allowing evil to happen, He is right here saying out loud, I create evil. This wasn't an absence of light, it was a deliberate act.
And the evidence just keeps piling up. The Creator calls Himself jealous. I mean, think about that for a second. A perfect, supreme, all-knowing being feeling jealousy and then punishing kids for stuff their parents did? To the Gnostics, this didn't sound like a source of ultimate good. It sounded like a flawed, petty tyrant.
Now, when most people read this, they see a simple statement of monotheism. But the Gnostics, they heard something completely different. They heard arrogance. They heard the desperate shouting of a limited being who is so blind, so ignorant, he doesn't even know that a much greater reality exists way above him.
So after looking at the evidence, the Creator's own admission to making evil, His jealousy, His arrogance, the Gnostics asked this very simple question. And for them, the answer was a loud, clear no. Absolutely not. This being could not possibly be the ultimate true God.
And so, based on all this scriptural evidence, the Gnostics declared their verdict. The creator of our physical universe, the God of the Old Testament, was not the true ultimate God. He was something else entirely, a lower and deeply flawed entity.
And they gave him a name, the Demiurge. Now that term actually comes from Plato, where it just means craftsman. But for the Gnostics, this was no master craftsman. Oh no, this was an arrogant, ignorant, and sometimes straight-up malevolent power who botched the job, creating the material world as a flawed prison. They had other names for him too, like Jaldabaoth or Samael, which means the blind god. He was literally blind to the perfection that existed beyond his own little kingdom.
Okay, but wait, if the Demiurge, this flawed creator, made our world, then who or what is the real God? And this question is what leads us to the most mind-blowing part of the whole Gnostic worldview.
This, right here, is the absolute genius of the Gnostic solution. They split the whole idea of God in two. On one side, you've got the Demiurge. He's the creator of our messed-up material world. He's limited, he's jealous, he's the author of darkness. But then, way beyond him, totally out of his league, is the true God, a being so remote, so perfect, you can't even really put a name to it. They called it the monad or the fullness.
This God is pure light and love, has nothing to do with creating matter, and is the real source of all goodness. So the problem of evil is solved. Our world is flawed because its maker is flawed. And this means something amazing for us. There's a spark of that true God trapped inside us, and the way out isn't through worshiping the flawed creator, but through gnosis, direct, personal knowledge of where we really come from.
And that's the question the Gnostics leave us with, a question that totally reframes everything. What if all the suffering and chaos isn't a mistake in the system, but a core feature of it, a direct reflection of the ignorant, flawed being that made it all? It's a challenging, really provocative idea, and it's the Gnostic answer to one of our oldest, darkest questions.